stop scrolling. Because what's unfolding between Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker is no longer a divorce, it's a financial war. According to insiders, this isn't about heartbreak anymore. This is about control. About money. About an empire being locked down before someone else can touch it. Sources close to the situation now claim Kandi has officially flipped the switch, from wife to legal executioner. The prenup clause that once looked like paperwork? It's now being described as a loaded weapon. And Todd? He's standing right in its line of fire. Behind the scenes, whispers are getting louder. People close to the situation say Kandi allegedly structured business earnings during the marriage through what's being called creative accounting, shifting profits into expenses, hiding gains inside debt, all while Todd believed he was building wealth by her side. Now add this to the fire: rumors of Todd not staying off the streets, allegations of betrayal, and a power imbalance that insiders say had been brewing for years. Mama Joyce's warnings? Suddenly they don't sound crazy. Todd thought he was marrying into a kingdom. But insiders say he never got the keys. And now, with a reported $11 million hanging in the balance, this fight is about to turn nuclear. Kandi finally said something that changed everything.
She was going to enforce the prenup, but what was written in that response? Oh, Todd, I hope you got your own money for lawyers, because Kandi is going to fight you tooth and nail.
The moment Kandi's lawyers reportedly activated the prenup clause, the entire atmosphere around this marriage changed. Insiders say this wasn't a soft move. It wasn't emotional. It was tactical. What once looked like a normal celebrity divorce instantly became a courtroom chess match, with money, custody, and reputation all on the line. Behind closed doors, people close to the situation claim Kandi didn't react. She prepared. The prenup wasn't just an agreement. It was a firewall. Sources allege that once Kandi decided to enforce it, the message sent to Todd was loud and unmistakable. This won't be settled in whispers. This will be fought in full daylight with paperwork, lawyers, and no mercy. And then, something else began surfacing. Quietly. Whispers from inside business circles. Murmurs from industry people. Comments from those who'd worked near their joint projects. They all hinted at the same thing. This divorce may not be about love at all. Maybe about math.
Because one thing I do know about productions and all that other stuff, if Kandi was the one controlling the money, she legally probably found ways to sink all the profit and couch it in debt, so that on the paper, if Todd tries to get half of what they owned while they were together, because don't forget the prenup protects her assets, anything they made while they were a married couple, he would be entitled to 50% of. But just like big movie houses, they often do what's called creative accounting, where at the end of the day, a movie might have made like $300 million, but Paramount Pictures is like, well, wouldn't you know it? The promotion cost $100 million. The free snacks in the trailer, that was like at least what, 5, 8, 10 million? That water, yeah, the Aquafina. I know it's $1.39 at your local, $2.39 at your local CVS, but we paid like $5 a bottle and we bought 1 billion bottles. They couch it behind this hidden debt and even future expenses and other like promotion, PR, clothes. They couch it so that on paper.
If Kandi was the one controlling the money, she probably found ways to sink all the profit and couch it in debt. So that on paper, it looks like they barely made any profit. The phrase hit like a detonation. Creative accounting. The idea that profits aren't shown as profits, but as expenses, losses, and obligations. That income isn't erased, it's rerouted. Buried inside numbers so tightly, it looks like there was nothing there to begin with. Insiders now claim that during the marriage, several joint projects, shows, productions, ventures, may have appeared modest on paper, while moving far more behind the scenes. According to legal sources familiar with celebrity divorces, this kind of structure reportedly makes asset division during a split extremely complicated. Because when profits disappear into expenses, there's technically nothing left to split. And under the prenup, that could change everything. Because while the contract reportedly protects Kandi's separate assets, anything accumulated during the marriage becomes a battlefield. Unless those earnings can be presented as debts. And now here's where the story tilts dark. A source close to the situation alleges Todd didn't just feel sidelined financially. He felt locked out. Locked out of decisions. Locked out of authority. Locked out of what he believed he had married into. One person close to the circle allegedly described it like this: like being inside the palace, but never entering the throne room. According to the same source, Todd believed the marriage would evolve into shared power, shared control, shared ownership. But what he reportedly discovered instead was that Kandi always held the keys, and she never handed them over. Resentment doesn't arrive loudly. It collects quietly, in silence, in emails unsent, in meetings where you're present, but powerless. Insiders claim this was where the emotional erosion began. Todd allegedly didn't feel like a partner. He felt like an employee inside his own marriage. And according to people who observed them privately, that frustration didn't anymore stay hidden. It leaked. In mood. In attitude. In distance. Then came another layer, the one no one expected to surface publicly. Allegations. Sources claim Todd couldn't stay off the streets. That phrase started circulating behind the scenes long before it ever brushed social media. It doesn't mean what tabloids say out loud. It means distractions. It means entanglements. It means not being where you're supposed to be, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. And when combined with resentment, it turns dangerous. One insider allegedly put it bluntly, when power disappears, men try to recover it in other ways. Control becomes affection. Affection becomes territory. And territory becomes chaos. The narrative from that point wasn't romantic anymore. It was strategic. Who controls what? Who owns what? Who gets who? And who walks away with absolutely nothing? Then there was Mama Joyce. Love her or not, she was never silent. From the very beginning, she questioned Todd's motives, his timing, his intentions. People called her harsh. People called her dramatic. But now, some are wondering if she wasn't loud, but early. Insiders say tension between Todd and Mama Joyce never fully healed, and that under the surface something sharper always lived there, distrust. And then came the moment many now point to as symbolic. The prenup presentation, reportedly dropped at the final stretch before marriage. Some see it as protective. Others now see it as prophetic. Because from that moment on, there were two emotional currencies in the marriage. Love and suspicion. One grew quieter. The other wrote itself into legal ink. Todd, according to people who knew the dynamic early on, didn't just want security. He wanted ascension. Not money. Not comfort. Power. He wasn't looking to join a dynasty. He wanted to be the dynasty. And that's where the story snapped.
I think that Kandi, built with Todd, but she never gave him the keys of the kingdom. She never really opened up all her money. I think that did not escape Todd.
She never really opened up her money to Todd. She never really gave him the keys to the kingdom. That sentence explains the entire atmosphere. Inside the marriage, Todd may have had access to the mansion, but not the vault, the cars, but not the codes, the last name, but not the legacy. Kandi, according to insiders, moved through money like architecture. Carefully structured, fortified, intentional. And Todd? Sources say he watched the blueprint, asked for keys, and received silence. That silence reportedly became corrosive. Then came the filing. Quietly, methodically. Divorce papers. Joint custody request. Strict prenup enforcement. And one line that changed how lawyers immediately viewed the case. Marital debts. Multiple sources say the filing lists obligations, not just assets. Meaning, before anything is split, everything is subtracted. And if debts devour profits on paper, there may be nothing to divide at all. Now add another explosive twist. Several insiders say Kandi's restaurant businesses were experiencing legal friction around the same period. Rent issues, repair disputes, financial pressure. No confirmation, but the timing raised eyebrows. Because if business stress intersects with divorce mechanics, the numbers don't just shift, they weaponize. This isn't chaos. This is orchestration. Insiders allege the divorce wasn't impulsive. It was scoped, prepared, executed. One legal source reportedly summed it up like this. When a woman files only after she secures everything, she isn't heartbroken. She's finished. And now Todd may be staring at the final ledger. The rumored $11 million, still invisible, still disputed, still silent. But consequences don't always announce themselves. Sometimes, they simply disappear, leaving one side protected, and the other exposed. And here's the last truth heavy enough to end any fantasy. People close to Todd say he is not ready to walk away empty-handed. Not emotionally, not financially, which means this story is not over. This isn't a closing chapter. It's a countdown, and whatever comes next won't be quiet. And that's where the silence became louder than any press statement. Because once the filing surfaced, the whispers didn't fade, they multiplied. Within hours, legal blogs, celebrity watchers, and insider forums began circling the same question. What exactly is inside that prenup? Not what people assume is in it, what's actually written. Sources close to the situation now claim the contract was never a simple safety net. It was allegedly designed like a fortress. Layered clauses, specific protections, language that didn't just guard assets, but future earnings, intellectual property, and business interests tied directly to Kandi's name. According to one industry insider, it wasn't signed out of love. It was signed out of legacy. And now that legacy has reportedly become untouchable. Behind the court language and legal formalities, something darker is said to be unfolding. A second story running alongside the paperwork. A story about editing. Not video editing. Narrative editing. What gets highlighted? What gets minimized? What gets buried? Online observers began noticing something strange almost immediately. Old interviews reappeared. Social clips were reposted with new captions. Moments that once looked harmless were suddenly being reframed as subtle warnings. Fans started rewatching scenes from years ago, business conversations, power dynamics, offhand comments, now hearing them differently. Not as banter, as breadcrumbs. One particularly viral clip involving Todd in a business setting resurfaced with a wave of comments claiming his body language had always given frustration. Others paused on moments where Kandi shut down joint plans mid-conversation. People began isolating facial expressions, voice tone, pauses. Suddenly, 10 years of content was no longer nostalgia. It was evidence. And then, someone allegedly leaked what they claimed was an internal breakdown of how certain business profits were moved, split, or offset during the marriage. No documents attached. No signatures. Just enough detail to start panic. The post vanished within minutes. But not before screenshots spread. The language used in that leak matched something insiders had quietly hinted at earlier. Figures redirected into operations, branding, overhead, reinvestment, all legally framed, but morally questionable depending on which side you're standing on. And that's when the phrase contract manipulation began trending across private forums. Not manipulation of terms. Manipulation of timing. One source close to the situation claims Kandi didn't file when emotions were highest. She filed when the numbers were safest. That detail matters. Because in high-asset divorces, timing isn't romance. It's strategy. And according to insiders, the timing here was surgical. The filing didn't happen during drama. It happened after positioning, after restructuring, after decisions were made in silence. Another bombshell surfaced in whispers, the alleged presence of post-nuptial addendums. Not confirmed, not shown. But several legal accounts pointed out small legal behaviors that are typically associated with contract updates, new legal counsel, reorganized LLCs, ownership shifts inside shell entities. Again, no document, no confirmation, just patterns. And patterns don't lie, they predict. Meanwhile, Todd's camp reportedly went quiet. No counter-statements, no emotional captions, no cryptic quotes. Silence. That kind of silence does not mean peace. It means preparation. Insiders claim Todd is not just hurt, he's stunned. Because the narrative he walked into is not the one he believes he lived inside. Sources suggest Todd believed, deeply, that he was co-architect of the life they built. That contracts protected money, yes, but not identity. What he reportedly never imagined was becoming a line item. Another asset. Another variable in a legal equation. And as frustration reportedly turned to anger, anger turned to quiet coalition. Insiders say Todd is now combing through archive files, communications, internal documents, looking not for romance, but leverage. And that hunt is dangerous territory. Because once both sides begin searching for proof instead of peace, nothing stays buried. At the same time, fans started noticing something else. Kandi didn't slow down. She accelerated. Projects continued. Public appearances grew stronger. Interviews became sharper. Not emotional. Controlled. There was no breakdown tour. No visible collapse. There was presence, precision, confidence. And to some analysts, that was the real clue. Because when someone loses love, they unravel. But when someone regains power, they glow. Meanwhile, speculation escalated around joint debt references in the filing. Why list debt so prominently? Why foreground liabilities over assets? According to one legal analyst, It's a psychological move as much as a strategic one. When you frame a marriage as financially heavy, you frame its end as a relief. And relief dissolves guilt. Another rumor added fuel to the fire. Allegations that Todd believed certain ventures were promised to him, not legally but verbally. Investments he thought were joint. Projects he believed carried unspoken ownership. One source claimed Todd once described his role as partner in the empire. Not employee, not assistant, partner. But what matters in court is not memory. It's paper. And those papers are not in his name. Yet, now comes the biggest contradiction of all. If Todd allegedly gained $11 million, why does the filing read like he gained nothing? This is where speculation tightens. Some insiders argue the reported number might not be a payment, but an internal valuation. A figure tied to assets he believed belonged to him. Not cash taken. Value lost. A phantom fortune that exists only on spreadsheets. The kind of money that never sits in an account, just on projections. And when projections die, so do expectations. In private circles, a new term has appeared. Invisible divorce. Where nothing is stolen, but everything is removed. Quietly. Legally. Permanently. And if that's true, then Todd is not confronting a woman. He's confronting architecture. A system designed long before emotions entered the room. A maze built around equity. And now, he's standing in the center of it. Alone. No one knows if Todd will strike back. No one knows what he's holding. No one knows how far he's willing to go. But those close to him say one thing is certain. He is not leaving quietly. Because men who feel erased don't ask for closure. They expose. And if he runs out of doors, he'll light windows instead. And that's when the internet stopped watching and started prosecuting. Not in court. On timelines. Clips from old episodes shot back into circulation like evidence being recycled in slow motion. Tweets from years ago resurfaced. Throwaway comments were reinterpreted. Business moves once seen as wins were suddenly dissected as rehearsals. Narratives don't disappear. They wait. And then resurface when blood is in the water. Fan accounts split overnight into digital war rooms. One side freezing frames, zooming into body language, rewinding arguments that originally looked juvenile but now felt surgical. The other side focused on numbers. Contracts. Ownership charts. Mock diagrams of corporations layered inside LLCs like Russian dolls. Kandi's empire stopped being a brand. It became a battlefield. The phrase prenup clause no longer meant paperwork. It meant prison. A financial one. And Todd? Todd became more dangerous in silence than he ever was in speech. Sources hinted he wasn't just reacting. He was mapping. Mapping conversations. Mapping transactions. Mapping timelines. And with every hour that passed, the rumor evolved. Not grew. Evolved. From money to motive. From motive to method. Followers started whispering something darker. That this split wasn't emotional at all. It was an exfiltration. That Kandi wasn't leaving Todd. She was extracting herself. One insider allegedly claimed, by the time the filing went public, the war was already over. He just didn't know it yet. Which would explain the calm, the poise, the fact that Kandi never broke down, never posted a crying photo, never made a vague caption. Because grief leaks. Strategy doesn't. Then something else shifted the tone entirely. Discussion around the kids. Joint custody looked civil on paper. But insiders say custody in celebrity divorces is rarely about children. It's about optics. Nothing looks more innocent than shared parenting. And nothing protects a public figure better than appearing cooperative. Analysts started pointing out something unsettling. The filing never sounded devastated. It sounded resolved. Like someone closing a door quietly, after locking every window. And then came the most suffocating theory yet. That this marriage didn't collapse in a moment. It expired on schedule. That every disagreement, every conflict, every miscommunication was not messy. It was directional. Todd's silence only made the rumors louder. Because men who are innocent speak. Men who are guilty deny. But men who feel trapped? They go quiet. And that's what terrified people most. The absence of defense. The absence of counterfire. Like someone deciding whether the final move is private or explosive. A legal advisor watching the case from afar allegedly said something chilling. You don't lose a marriage like this. You're deactivated. And as days passed, another shift occurred. The money stopped being about cash. It became about value. What Todd believed belonged to him was now being described as never his in the first place. Not stolen. Not taken. erased retroactively. A decade of effort rewritten as employment. Support reframed as service. Leadership recast as proximity. And proximity gives no rights, only perspective. Then the most disturbing possibility emerged. That Todd might not even be chasing money anymore. He might be chasing correction. Not for the court, for history. Because when a man loses everything, he doesn't fight for refunds. He fights for recognition. One observer said it best. He's not trying to take from her. He's trying to prove he mattered. And that's when this stops being celebrity gossip. It becomes identity warfare. Meanwhile, Kandi never wavered. No leaked rants. No emotional explosions. Just motion. Contracts. Appearances. Deals continuing. Which only fed the final idea spreading across forums. She didn't survive the divorce. She engineered it. And engineering doesn't crack. It calculates. Another detail surfaced quietly. Allegedly, a network executive was quoted privately saying, "When someone unplugs from you without chaos, they already won." And that quote changed everything. Because if true, then Todd isn't fighting a woman. He's fighting an outcome that already happened. And whatever $11 million represents, cash, valuation, leverage, regret, may never actually exist anywhere except in theory. Which makes it more dangerous. Because invisible money makes visible anger. And visible anger destroys legacies. And now, no one is asking if this divorce will get uglier. They're asking how far Todd is willing to go before he stops losing quietly. Because insiders say one thing with near certainty. This isn't over. Not legally. Not emotionally. Not reputationally. There will be another filing. Another reveal. Another moment where silence snaps. And when that happens, there will be no more editing. No more reframing. No more illusion of control. Just truth or what looks exactly like it. And now the most dangerous part of this story begins. Not in court. Not in filing cabinets. In the shadows between what's been revealed and what hasn't. Because cases like this don't close loudly. They dissolve slowly. And what's left is never just paper. It's damage. If you've been watching quietly, if you've been sensing that something here doesn't line up, you're not alone. The story didn't break when the divorce was filed. It began when someone realized they were no longer part of the future they helped build. And when that realization settles in, people don't move on. They go backwards. Into message threads. Into old hard drives. Into conversations that were never meant to become evidence. This isn't about choosing sides. It's about noticing patterns. Because patterns don't lie, they confess. And right now, too many details are aligning for this to be coincidence. You're watching a collapse that doesn't look like chaos. It looks like design. A departure that doesn't feel emotional. It feels executed. Which means the truth won't surface all at once. It will leak. Piece by piece. Day by day. Until someone finally decides silence is more expensive than exposure. So stay here. Not as a viewer. As a witness. Because the next document was already written before this one went public. The next move was already made before you were told to look. And when it comes out, it won't come gently. It will come like regret in daylight. If you want to see what isn't being highlighted, if you want to track what gets erased, if you want to understand how power really exits a marriage, then don't blink. Because empires don't fall in one moment. They collapse in sequences. And this one has only just begun.